Ever get that feeling? Like something's just off, kind of like you're going through the motions. But
Gotta sync.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're tackling that head on today. We're diving deep into some ancient Sanskrit wisdom, looking at the Anurag Saga von Kabir Ozian der Liebe and Vern Schalachung 8184.
Okay.
And they've got this roadmap, so to speak, to inner harmony. They call them the 5 koshas.
5 koshas.
Now, what's really interesting here is these koshas, they're not like separate things. They're more like, imagine layers all woven together that make up, well, you. The texts even compare it to like a tapestry.
Okay. So like the soul is wrapped in these 5 layers.
Exactly.
And each one changes how we experience the world, how we experience ourselves.
You've got it. Ready to unpack this? Let's do it. Let's peel back these layers, starting with the outermost one. What's the first kosha we encounter?
The most basic, the one we're all familiar with, the Annamaya Kosha. It's often called the food sheath.
The food sheath.
It's our physical body, plain and simple.
The one we can see?
Exactly. And the text really emphasizes how much it depends on Anna, nourishment.
Okay.
Like we literally need food
Right.
to sustain this layer.
Makes you think about like when you're stressed, you want to reach for a snack. That's your Annamaya Kosha being like, hello, I need some sustenance.
Exactly. It's always demanding, right. But there's another thing the texts point out. It's always changing too.
It's true.
It grows.
It decays.
And eventually fades away.
It's impermanent.
Exactly. This physical form, it's not the end-all be-all. And that brings us to the second layer, the Paradigm Kosha, or the energy sheath.
The energy sheath.
Think of this as your life force, that vital energy that animates the physical.
So if the Annamaya Kosha is the car, the Pranamaya Kosha is the fuel that keeps it running.
Perfect analogy. It's all about breath, circulation, that subtle energy that makes the body go.
And just like a car needs the right fuel, we can actually influence this energy with things like breath work.
Absolutely.
It's amazing how a few minutes of focused breathing can just completely shift your energy.
Yeah.
But we are more than just our physical bodies and our energy systems.
Bro, absolutely. So much more.
So tell me about that next layer.
This is where things get really interesting. This is the Annamaya Kosha, the mental sheath. This is the realm of thoughts, emotions, the senses.
Okay.
It's where we experience that duality, the like and dislike, the pleasure and pain.
Ah, yes. The Annamaya Kosha.
Yeah.
Home of the inner critic, the endless comparisons.
Exactly.
It's no wonder this one can feel so chaotic sometimes. We get so caught up in those mental loops of judgment, desire.
Yeah.
But thankfully, there's more to us than just that mental chatter, right?
Well, for sure. That's where the Annamaya Kosha comes in.
Okay.
The wisdom sheath.
The wisdom sheath.
This is where your deeper knowing hangs out.
Okay.
Think intuition, conscience, that higher intellect.
So the Annamaya Kosha is like the processing center, taking in information, reacting.
Yeah.
The Annamaya Kosha is where we step back, reflect, find that wisdom.
You got it.
Like those aha moments when you suddenly see something from a whole new perspective.
Exactly.
That's the Annamaya Kosha speaking to us.
Yeah.
But we're not done, are we? There's one more. The innermost layer.
This one is often described as kind of elusive,
Okay.
but also really alluring.
Right.
This is the Annamaya Kosha, the bliss sheath.
The bliss sheath.
And it's said to be the closest to our true essence.
Okay.
A state of pure joy, oneness.
Pure joy and oneness. I mean, that resonates so deeply. I've definitely had glimpses of that during meditation, like a feeling of complete peace.
Yes.
Interconnectedness. Is that what these texts are talking about?
You're on the right track. Think about those moments when you're just totally absorbed in something you love, whether it's art, nature, even just being present with loved ones. That flow state, that timelessness, that pure joy, connection. That's the Annamaya Kosha whispering to you.
So we've traveled through these koshas, from the physical body all the way to that blissful state of pure awareness.
Right.
It's amazing how these ancient texts offer this nuanced view of what it means to be human.
Yeah.
But it's not just about intellectually understand them, right? How do we actually experience them, like in a tangible way?
That's the heart of it, right? It's not enough to just know about them. We have to embody these koshas. And the source material emphasizes that it takes practice. Each kosha, it responds to certain practices that can help us cultivate awareness and refine its expression.
Like tending a garden.
Yes.
Each one needs its own care and attention to really blossom.
Yeah.
So let's talk practical application here. Where do we even start?
Yeah. Well, we start at the ground level, right? The foundation. that Annamaya Kosha, the physical body.
Right.
This layer, it thrives on mindful movement, nourishment, think yoga, conscious eating, even just spending time in nature.
Okay.
Really connecting with your physical senses.
So it's about moving beyond seeing our bodies just as like aesthetic objects and more as those sacred vessels that they are.
That's it.
Okay, that makes sense. What about the Pranamaya Kosha?
Right.
Our vital energy. How do we work with that?
Breath work, my friend. Things like pranayama, where you're consciously regulating the breath, this directly influences the flow of prana, that life force energy.
Okay.
And even something as simple as just taking a few deep conscious breaths when you're stressed can make a world of difference.
Oh, I've totally experienced that firsthand. Just a few minutes of focused breathing, and you can go from totally frazzled to completely calm.
Absolutely.
It's like hitting the reset button on your nervous system.
Exactly. And then as we move inward to the Annamaya Kosha, the realm of our thoughts and emotions, practices like meditation, mindfulness, those become key.
Okay.
Because they help us become more aware of those mental loops, the judgments, the comparisons, that can really keep us trapped in that duality.
It's about creating that space between our thoughts and our reactions so we're not so easily swept away by all the drama of the mind.
Yes.
But, I mean, that's easier said than done, right?
It's true.
So how do we actually tap into that wisdom of the Vijnanamaya Kosha to help us navigate those choppy mental waters?
Well, it's a practice in itself.
Okay.
The Vijnanamaya Kosha really thrives on self-reflection, contemplation, connecting with something larger than ourselves.
Okay.
It's about cultivating that curious, open mind and seeking wisdom from different sources. It could be reading meaningful conversations or even just spending time in nature.
So it's not just about thinking more, it's about thinking differently, more expansively.
Exactly.
We're tapping into that inner wellspring of wisdom that's already there.
Yes.
Okay, but what about that final layer? The Annamaya Kosha. Is bliss something we can actually practice?
That's the paradox, isn't it? The Annamaya Kosha, it's about recognizing that this state of pure joy and oneness, it's not something we achieve by striving for it. It's something we already are at our core. It's about removing the obstacles, the attachments, the judgments, those limiting beliefs that keep us from experiencing that inherent bliss.
So the path to bliss isn't about adding more. It's about letting go. Again, easier said than done.
It's true. It's true. But the journey itself is transformative. And the text reminds us that even when we stumble, each moment is a new opportunity to begin again. To choose awareness over autopilot. To connect with that radiant essence that's within us all.
It's a lifelong practice, a continual process of refinement. But it's also incredibly hopeful, isn't it?
Yes.
Knowing that we actually have the power to cultivate more peace, more joy, more awareness in our lives. Simply by tending to these different layers of our being.
Absolutely. And the amazing thing is, those ripple effects, they go way beyond just us. As we deepen our understanding of the koshas, we start to see them in other people. And it can really foster deeper empathy, compassion, connection in all of our relationships.
This is like we're all just walking, talking tapestries, each one intricate and unique, but woven from those same essential threads of being.
That's it.
But let's circle back to something you mentioned earlier. The idea that even souls who've passed on might still be tethered to earthly desires.
Right.
That's a fascinating concept. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, there's this passage in Der Anurag Sagar von Kabir Ozean der Liebe that talks about how some souls, even after death, they still have this attachment to Anna, to nourishment, to these earthly satisfactions. They're in this in-between state, still seeking fulfillment in that external world.
That's both fascinating and a little bit unsettling.
It's true.
It makes you wonder, what does it really mean to fully transcend the physical?
It's a question that's haunted spiritual seekers for centuries, you know?
And
while the text doesn't explicitly answer it, it suggests that true liberation. It's more than just shedding the physical body. It's about letting go of those deep-seated attachments to earthly pleasures, desires, and recognizing that true fulfillment, true bliss, it's found within.
So even after death, there's still a journey.
Yes.
An evolution of awareness. That's a powerful concept.
It is.
It really makes you think about how we live our lives now.
Yes.
The choices that we make every single day.
Exactly. The text seems to suggest that the more we can cultivate awareness of these subtler layers now, the smoother that transition might be. Like we're familiarizing ourselves with the territory.
Wow. It's like we're packing our bags for that ultimate trip.
Yeah.
Making sure we're prepared, not weighed down by extra stuff. But it's not about becoming like these perfect beings without emotions, right?
Right.
I mean, we're human. We experience the whole range.
We do.
So what happens to those emotions when we transition?
That's where it gets really interesting. The text doesn't give, a line by line on what emotions we take with us.
Right.
But it hints that understanding them is key.
So maybe it's not about getting rid of emotions completely.
Right.
But more like refining them.
That's a really beautiful way to put it. Imagine facing those tough emotions, but with the wisdom from the Annamaya Kosha. Meeting anger with compassion, fear with courage. Maybe through practice, we can transform those emotions, turn them into sources of strength, of insight, even.
It totally changes how we think about personal growth then. It's not about chasing those good vibes all the time.
Right.
It's about learning how to handle all of it, the whole human experience.
Exactly.
But with more awareness, more skill.
Yes.
Let's go back to that lampshade metaphor for a second.
Okay.
How does that play into this idea of preparing for the afterlife?
Remember, the texts compare the koshas to a lampshade.
Right.
And our true essence, that's the radiant light inside.
Okay.
Just like a clean lampshade helps the light shine brighter, maybe by purifying our own koshas.
Okay.
By taking care of these layers, we amplify that inner light.
So working on our koshas now, we're basically making it easier for that light to shine through even when the physical body's gone.
You got it. That's why all these practices, the meditation, the self-reflection, cultivating compassion,
right.
They're not just about making this life better.
Right.
They're about preparing us for what comes next. Yeah. It's about refining ourselves so we can tap into that inner light, that bliss, no matter what form we're in.
Wow, this whole deep dive has been eye-opening. It's given me a whole new perspective on life, on death, on everything in between. And it feels really empowering, knowing we have more agency than we think, that we can actually cultivate these qualities within ourselves.
Absolutely.
It's not about waiting for some aha moment in the future, but starting that journey of self-discovery right now.
And, we're not alone in this. We're all on this journey together, each of us navigating our own unique path. So as we wrap up exploring these 5 koshas, one final thought to leave you with. If your true self is that radiant light, that eternal flame, what can you do today to let it shine just a little bit brighter?